Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday Night Horrors, our new show that will be coming to you every other Monday night at 8 p.m. Welcome the beautiful Cheyenne, who will be doing this show with me. We're so excited, and we want to thank WZQR, the Sound of Pine Island, for having us on their station, and of course, Ross at Yergs and Rainbow Radio. Thank you, Ross. And we are so excited for this show. We're going to be discussing horror movies, books, actors, everything horror. So we hope you enjoy it and we get a lot more people on here. I know it's a huge thing right now, the whole horror scene.
Yep,
That it's
absolutely.
everyone's into horror now.
I mean, you're very much now in the minority if you don't. Which
Yeah.
I will say I have always been like a spooky little kid that loves Halloween, but I can be such a big baby whenever it comes to some horror. Like it really took me a while to come into watching more horror movies. Like I remember my first awful experience was walking in with my parents watching Jeepers Creepers, and I could not sleep for a week.
Oh gosh.
I mean, to be fair, we lived in a really really creepy and creaky old house. So I'm
Mhm.
like, oh God, it's gonna find its way in here.
Oh
We
no.
live out in the middle of nowhere. This isn't good.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. See that tells you how much older I am than you, Cheyenne, because I have the 3D glasses from Nightmare on Elm Street from the theater.
Oh, you better keep those locked away forever. You could sell those on eBay one day. Like from the first one or
I
like
think it's actually like it says Freddy's dead on the side.
oh,
So,
that's really
yeah.
cool. Now that was the first like because we are starting tonight from like the very beginning,
Yes.
the very beginnings of horror, and that was almost like the second wave of like original horror, and that was the first
Yeah.
series that I sat down and watched, and I was like, yeah, okay.
The
That
actual very, very, very first horror movie was only like 3 minutes long or something. It was made in 1896, and it
wow.
was, I believe, French. It's called, like, Les Memoires du Diable. It's The Haunted Castle.
Hmm.
So, 1896, I mean, it goes way back.
Yeah. I was gonna say, shoot, let me check my let's see, you said 1896
Mhm.
and shoot, like OG Dracula was published in 1997.
Yeah.
So, and but before we hop into too much, I need a hot take on something.
Mhm.
Um, so original 1931 Dracula with Bela Lugosi
Mhm.
was released on Valentine's Day of 1931. Can we consider that a Valentine's Day movie?
Sure.
I feel like that makes it like an original Valentine's Day movie.
Yeah. I feel like if Die Hard can be Christmas, then Dracula can be Valentine's.
I mean, there's love. There's love.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like that. I may start watching that for Valentine's Day every year.
Yeah, that's I was looking into a couple of different things because whenever you and I were discussing doing all this, I had literally like just done an accidental deep dive into Nosferatu because I was like, well,
Oh,
I want to see. And no offense to Bill Skarsgård, but here of late he has not had the best run in things. So I was like, whenever you like swipe right on my phone by accident on my home screen, it brings up like a bunch of different articles. So I was like, oh, okay, well, let's see how Nosferatu is doing. And then I started going back, and the article was super long, and I accidentally like read all of this into like the debate of Nosferatu coming before Dracula, but how soon after Bram Stoker published Dracula, and the whole back and forth between all of that.
Yeah.
And I made it 30 minutes into the movie, and I was like, I think the silent film era is just not for me. I can appreciate what it was, for the time. Uh, Nosferatu, a symphony of horror, um,
Yeah.
was actually released in Germany first on March 4th of 1922, starring Max Schreck as Count Orlok. When you and I had discussed also of like, we can't really talk about the OGs without talking about the ones that came before them,
Right.
with Nosferatu being one of those. And that actually was produced by Prana Film. And then it was then released in the US June 1st of 1929.
We know Glenn did, Chris.
Yeah,
1896. Yeah.
that
We know
was
Glenn
he
was there.
that was he was getting ready for his senior year in high school, and they wanted to do something special.
I heard he dated Medusa. Just a rumor. I don't know.
Man, then he's a lot older than we thought he was. And
Oh, goodness.
it was not bad. Obviously over the years, the more movies you watch, there are things you look at, and you have to have the perspective. This was 1922. For what little I could let myself suffer through, I could appreciate it for what it was. I was just like, just not for me. I need to I need some more. I'm getting bored. I'm getting a little bored.
But also when you go to the newer movies, you're like, man, they just don't make them like they used to.
Yep.
You know?
And I was thinking that, especially of looking back, of like, we'll get into it later, but all of the movies that come from Dracula. And I am a big person of, I want to see a solid, true book adaptation that is right aligned with the book. And I feel it's very much that way with you're seeing the films now that, like, say it was a couple of years ago whenever the newest adaptation of The Invisible Man came out, and you're like,
Mhm.
it doesn't got to be that complicated.
No.
It was a simpler time because you had pennies to work with. But even, for what it was coming out in 1922, has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb gave it a 7.8 out of 10, and Letterboxd gave it a 3.8 out of 5.
Hmm.
So whenever I was originally like looking into everything about Nosferatu, I was
Mhm.
like, there's the big debate of like, because Bram Stoker's estate ended up suing over the over them taking, it was the like unlicensed Dracula pretty
Dracula.
much.
Yeah. Yep.
And hello Kirsten. Um
Yay.
but just I believe it was, she sued because she just said it was so terrible.
Mhm.
Um but so basically, summoned to a bloodthirsty vampire's faraway castle, a young land clerk embarks on a harrowing journey into the unknown as his innocent wife falls under the spell of a terrifying shadow in her dreams. Sounds very familiar. But I can, we have to look at, though, the different take on a vampire that they took, which
Mhm.
then we have to look at Stephen King taking from that in Salem's Lot. Because I remember whenever I was first starting to get into like reading Stephen King and everything, I was like, isn't that the same? Okay, no, it's not but it's the same. Nosferatu's in Salem's Lot. Okay, I don't know. But where have we seen another vampire like that, though? Because I feel like that's a very unique take on a vampire. Just the look.
Right. Yeah. Nosferatu was more of like the monster where they romanticized Dracula.
Yeah, yeah. Very much, and I almost feel like as the years went on, whenever it comes to Dracula, was where it got romanticized more.
Yes.
Especially because I remember, because one of my favorite movies is still Bram Stoker's Dracula, um, from 92? 92,
Mhm.
yes. Um, and I remember like sitting there watching it for the first time, and I was like, oh, it's so sweet though. He's a creepy old man, but it's so sweet.
That's why I wanna be a vampire. I'm like, "This is so cool. I want turn me."
Yeah, I mean, like one of my favorite looks in that is after they have buried Lucy and she comes back down the tunnel with the little kid. I was
Mhm.
like the giant, the giant collar she had on, and like she was like a pale gray, and just like, yes, please. And if I can have Gary Oldman whenever he looks like that, then yes, please.
Abe said that Max Schreck was a method actor and sat around in character and full makeup through the whole production. Can you imagine sitting in all of that?
Just
Yeah,
no, no,
that's
not at all.
crazy. And how hot that would be? And
It's
just
and Lord only knows what was in the makeup at the time.
yeah, yeah.
No,
I
and I
mean,
mean
the
that,
woman who played the witch on Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch, she even conducted, like, health problems
Margaret
from the paint they
Margaret
used.
Margaret Hamilton, I believe it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, that green paint.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, have you been talking about me to Chris? He says, "Nice to finally meet you, Amanda. I've been warned, I mean, told about you."
Chris, do not paint me in a bad light, sir.
Uh-oh.
Chris, stop
Did she s
talking about you. Quit talking about yourself. You're the old man. Uh,
Oh,
I
goodness.
mean, I feel like we need to comment on that for a moment. But I feel like both you and I are kind of on the same page. But like, were you a team Edward or were you a team Jacob?
Edward.
Okay, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Like we were going to make it through this episode without discussing Twilight.
I mean, we look at where we started for in 1922 and 1931 to now we got vampires with pixie dust. I mean,
I love it.
it would not have happened. It wouldn't have happened. At least not the same way in my eyes. But I mean, and Casey is also very much Team Edward, so
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
uh, but I mean, it's like, I almost hate to make the joke because of Twilight being what it is, but Dracula walked so that Twilight could run like a crazy lunatic in the forest.
I love what they did with the vampires in Twilight, though. They had so many other, special things about them that they could do. So that
Yeah,
made it all that much more interesting to me.
and I will just say this enough to say it, but how 50 Shades of Grey came out of that, I will never understand.
Me either.
But then we can move on to a couple years down the road to 1925. November 15th of 1925 was when the Phantom of the Opera with
Oh,
Lon Chaney came out.
that's one of our favorites.
I am, so of my top 5 favorite movies, 4 of them are musicals. So I am all about the Broadway shows.
Hmm.
But the I feel like even for anybody who like doesn't know horror, you have seen that picture of Lon Chaney as Eric.
Oh, yeah.
But
Somewhere.
yeah, so that was the first movie put out by Universal in this line of movies. It had a New York premiere on September 6th in 1925 and then premiered everywhere else November 15th of 1925. Now, it got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, got a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb, and a 3.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So I think I love to see an adaptation of book to movie because the movie came out in 1925, but the book by I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing this correct, Gaston Leroux, came out in September of 1909. So not too awful long later, considering book to movie coming out ratio, not all that long. But so the book is a suspenseful mystery novel about a Parisian opera house haunted by a phantom who falls in love with a young soprano, centering around Christine, a beautiful Swedish singer, and Eric, who in the book was a deranged ex torturer and musician from the Middle East. Eric creates mysterious events to advance Christine's career, but his obsession with her leads to trouble for the opera house. Whereas they left that tiny little bit about Eric out in the movie, and he just haunts the opera house, falls in love with Christine because she's a beautiful singer, starts making stuff happen because Christine was originally, correct me if I'm wrong, not going to star in the show, but something happened to their lead, and she ended up
Mhm.
becoming the lead, and he made things happen so that
She could get the
she would.
part.
Yep.
Yep.
And he ends up he lives underneath the Paris Opera House, um and in the movie takes Christine prisoner and demands her devotion and affection, and her suitor sets out to rescue her before he is killed.
And he paid for all of her singing lessons and everything. It's a it's a great love story. It's not even really horror, but it's considered horror.
Well, and I mean, we'll get into it here in a little bit, but it's the same thing with The Invisible Man. That's just
Yeah,
sci-fi, but
yeah. But he is considered one of the originals.
mhm. And for anybody like myself who is a fan of Broadway and musicals, so Phantom of the Opera had a 35-year run on Broadway, one of the longest running Broadway shows from January 26th of 1988 till April 16th of 2023, and it only ended up closing down because demand dropped after COVID.
Yep.
But there was 13,981 performances. There were 16 different phantoms. The number I saw ranged anywhere between 15 to 20, but there was like a select few that were chosen just for specific performances. Like I wonder if like they were counting Antonio Banderas under one of those for him coming out and singing. uh I don't know if they're counting that, but it was anywhere between 15 to 20, and there were 37 different Christines.
That's crazy.
And if you want a peep on a really funny joke with the 2004 Phantom of the Opera that came out with Gerard Butler, there is a there's a lovely SNL bit of him attempting to sing one of the songs that I just saw not that long ago, because I love the Broadway music. I have a very specific Christine I like, a very specific Eric I like, where the two of them, it's there. Um and I was just like, I don't like Gerard Butler singing. It's just no, I don't. No.
Oh, I love Gerard Butler.
I like Gerard Butler, but I was just like, just not the Phantom I'm looking for. I would have to look up the gentleman's name because he's got an odd last name, but I believe his name is Tim, who played him on Broadway. Um, just has the intensity that the character needs whenever it comes to, like, there have been a number of different performances. Like there's also a very good one of like Nicole Scherzinger singing with different phantoms. But
Mhm.
the
I
way
love
that he
Pentatonics.
yes, anything
Have you heard it?
pentatonics really.
Ugh, they blow it away. It's amazing.
But just the way that I don't know, it's like he was meant for the role. And
Mhm.
anytime like the other guys, very good singers. I've specifically went around and listened to other ones, but nothing beats Tim on that. He just mwah.
Yeah. Oh, Chris, I would have loved to have seen Chris Farley as the Phantom.
He would have been living in a van down by the Opera House River.
That would have been great, like a comedy version of Phantom. They should do a Muppets version of Phantom of the Opera.
I mean, they've got the 2 guys, the 2
Yeah,
critics
just sit
that
up
yeah,
in the balcony. Yeah, Kermit could be the Phantom. Miss Piggy is Christine. I got this.
genius. I mean, I kinda feel like maybe the Muppets, just kinda need to do, like, one of everything.
Yeah.
Like, we can just I would love to see, Kermit's attempt to be Dracula, that would be pretty great.
Oh, that would be good. I mean, they're turning all the Disney movies and Winnie the Pooh into horror films. So why not? Just
Blood
flip
and
it.
honey.
Take the Muppets and do horror with the Muppets. That would be fantastic.
It's
I'd
that
watch
would
it.
I don't even care that much for the Muppets, but I would watch it to see it
I
show
would
show
totally watch it.
show me what you got. Show me what you got.
Ah,
But
are the
then
Muppets Disney now? Yeah, they're Disney now.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Disney, just reach out. I'll help you with this.
We can have it all planned for you by next week.
Abe says my favorite Phantom on Broadway was the original Michael Crawford, who also played Cornelius Hackle in the Hello Dolly movie.
I'm gonna have to look up his name because it's gonna bug me. Um, but let's see.
And hello,
Phantoms.
everyone. Everyone keeps saying hello. I see it pop up.
Phantoms of the Opera. Let's see. On Broadway. On Broadway. And if you have not seen Antonio Banderas sing Phantom of the Opera, you're missing out because I mean, it's already Antonio Banderas, but just
He was
phenomenal.
good as Zorro too.
I mean, I have not seen Antonio
Okay,
Banderas in anything bad.
I
Oh,
thought you were
I
going to say
am
you hadn't seen Zorro. It's like,
no, I've not seen him in anything bad. Uh,
yeah,
and I and I was incorrect. I don't know why I thought his name was Tim, but it was not. It is either Ramen or Ramen Karimlo.
okay,
He's Persian. Best Phantom I've ever seen. Him along with Sierra Boggess as Christine, like
yeah.
power couple in music,
They had it going on with that one.
very much so. And there weren't too many. I was surprised that there were not too many other movies that kind of came off of the Phantom of the Opera.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I will say, oddly, what gave me a little bit of Phantom of the Opera vibes was the 2000s Haunted Mansion
Mhm.
with the gentleman that owned the mansion. I don't know if maybe it was because it was like the masquerade ball kind of thing, but that always made me think Phantom of the Opera for some reason.
That was a really good one.
And so then our newly decided Valentine's Day classic coming out in it came out February 14th of 1931 was Dracula with Bela Lugosi. And that one also obviously produced by Universal Pictures got a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 7 8.4 out of 10 on IMDb and an 87 percent on Just Watch. So, obviously, based on the 1897 book of the same title by Bram Stoker, but differently done. And this is one book because, as I've said, I'm a very big stickler for liking to see a true book adaptation, and I know that there's somebody out there who could do it. But so how Dracula was written, obviously, it's, introduces the quintessential vampire villain of Count Dracula, who is a nobleman from Transylvania who sleeps in a coffin, turns into a bat, drinks the blood of the living. But the story is told through letters, diary entries, and newspaper clippings, and follows a small group led by Professor Abraham Van Helsing as they battle Dracula's attempt to move to England and spread his curse. And, they touched on that in the 92 version a little bit with when Keanu Reeves was stuck in Transylvania, but I would like to see a much more closely adapted version like that. Because I felt like for the time, because that was one of like the first original you leave me alone, Chris. I have preferences. I'm a big book nerd. So when it comes to books into movie adaptation, yes, I am a stickler. I do have rules, but I can't help it. But they definitely did more of that, but I feel like that one, because when we talk about, Nosferatu, Bram Stoker's Dracula was one that was heavily influenced by Nosferatu, and it was almost like it was such a good combination of both. Gary Oldman, phenomenal performance in that, obviously. And the movie follows basically the same plot as the book, though the dashing and mysterious Count Dracula, after hypnotizing a British soldier Renfield into his mindless slave, travels to London, takes up residence in an old castle. Soon Dracula begins to wreak havoc, sucking the blood of young women and turning them into vampires. When he sets his sights on Mina, the daughter of a prominent doctor, a vampire hunter Van Helsing is enlisted to put a stop to the Count's never-ending bloodlust.
Have you seen the movie The Last Voyage of the Demeter?
I have not yet, but I was
It's
so
really
excited.
good.
I was so
Yes.
excited whenever I saw it come out.
It's really good. You have to see it, and it is how Dracula
Yep.
came into, yeah. So it's really good. I don't want to give it away for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Because even just the clip of that during like Bram Stoker's Dracula
Mhm.
was very like, and I was honestly surprised that it took so long for a movie going into that to come out, because that's like, I don't know if it's not really a prequel, but like, an offshoot, and that's a pretty common thing to do anymore, and I'm just really
Yeah.
surprised that that didn't come out sooner.
Yeah.
um
Me too.
but we had went and saw something in theaters, and I was just watching, like, it hadn't even, the trailer wasn't even really talking about what was going on, and I was like, "Oh, this is what I think it is."
Yeah. I do the same thing. I'm like, "Oh, oh," even sitting at the theater, I'll, like, hit the person next to me. "We gotta see this. We gotta see this."
Yeah, whenever we went to go see Hard Eyes for Valentine's Day, there
Mhm.
is a new vampire movie, a new Prohibition era vampire movie coming out called Sinners, and I was like, "Oh, oh my
Yes.
god!" Ah! Ah!
Yes. Chris is naming some really good ones over here. Near Dark. I love Bill Paxton. He's
Mhm.
phenomenal. And John Carpenter's Vampires. Yeah, we watch that probably at least once a year.
And I mean, and we have to go a tiny bit off the horror train a little bit. Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Well, like you said, there's like you can do so many things.
Mhm.
You know,
And
I
the
love comedy horror or
oh
just
yeah.
comedy. You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't
And
even have to
it's
be scary. Like we talked about Zombievers one night. I love Zombievers. Like it's hilarious.
yeah, a good but I mean anything with Leslie Nielsen really is gonna
Yeah, yeah.
is gonna be great. Um but like we would have to do a show completely separate to cover everything that has stemmed off of Dracula.
Just vampires in general. 30 Days of
Yeah.
Night. That's a good one. Yeah.
Um and another one I forgot to mention because I was looking at for some smaller ones because like I said, we would literally have to do like an episode solely just on vampires. Um but one that was and it was also German but very heavily influenced from Nosferatu and Dracula and everything, Let the Right One In.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I feel like that for Dracula and vampires in general. And the same thing with Frankenstein. It's, it's the list goes on and on. Because and then I'm looking too. Eventually, we get to Nicolas Cage as Dracula in Renfield.
I was not a fan.
I was just like, I'm just enjoying how goofy Nicolas Cage looks.
Yeah.
Um, Now I would like to see them maybe if they took a Last Voyage of the Demeter route, we get like just one on Renfield, like solely from like, beginning of Dracula to end.
Yeah.
Um, but I was just like, this is this is something that I'm watching right now.
Oh gosh.
But then we move on to the end of the year in 1931, and we get Frankenstein, starring Boris Karloff as the monster.
Yes. We probably watched that one 3 times a year.
I think that's just how Nicolas Cage lives his life.
Yeah. He's an odd fellow.
Yeah, I'd love to meet him just once, just to say I
Yes.
did.
Just hang out with him for a night. Just see what
Question,
happens.
question, question all my life choices after.
I just feel like, no matter what he's doing, something's gonna happen.
Yep,
Like
yep.
we're either gonna end up in prison or
Fingers crossed that Pedro Pascal shows up somewhere. But so obviously another one, obviously released by Universal. It was released on November 21st of 1931 in the US. Has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and a 91 out of 100 on Metacritic.
It's a good one.
And that has been the highest rated one on Metacritic that I've seen.
It's a good one.
And obviously based on the book by Mary Shelley of Frankenstein, or also known as a modern Prometheus, that was published in January of 1818. So out of all of these that we'll discuss is the earliest book. And it was a gothic novel that tells the story of Victor Frankenstein, a scientist obsessed with creating life. He assembles a creature from body parts and brings them to life through unorthodox methods, but is horrified by its monstrous appearance. The novel explores themes of ambition, the danger of seeking too much knowledge, and the responsibilities creators have for their creations. Which I feel like is just like, parents, take care of your children. They your problem.
Not everyone else's. Don't let them go around killing people.
Yep, and it's you can't help it if they ugly.
I've
It's
never
just
seen
how it,
that, Chris. What's the strain?
I feel like I've heard of that.
We just watched Evil. It was really good. But I haven't heard of the strain.
The strain.
I don't know.
Something about it sounds familiar.
Yeah. I like The Bride of Frankenstein too.
Yep, I did have to add that to the list because it just kind of felt wrong.
Yep.
If I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But so obviously the movie is pretty much exactly the same as the book, but we get the added addition of Henry Frankenstein being aided by his loyal misshapen assistant Fritz. The
You also had
monster.
you had Frankenstein meets the Wolfman and all
Uh-huh.
of those types of movies too that's combined two of the monsters together. So there's so many
And
of those.
like a comment that Jeff had made on Facebook, then the Abbott and Costello meets it almost reminded
Yes.
me it's which I'm sure they probably took from this, but if you're someone who watched original Scooby-Doo, you've got
Yep.
Scooby-Doo meets the Harlem Globetrotters,
And
Scooby-Doo meets
Wolfman.
Batman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was thinking in looking over, all of this, finding out all the little details. One of
Hmm.
one of my one of my favorite uh not as well known Scooby-Doo movies was Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School.
Yeah.
And it was like the OG Monster High
Yep.
of uh Frankenstein's daughter, the Mummy's daughter, Wolfman's daughter, Dracula's daughter,
Yep.
all that,
So
which I
my brother who passed away, we used to watch Scooby Doo every day. That was our thing, Scooby Doo and Gilligan's Island. So I've seen like every Scooby Doo that has ever been made.
yeah, that's me as a full-fledged adult. I have a DVD case that is just full of Scooby-Doo movies from
Nice.
whenever I worked at Goodwill. We couldn't just put out the DVDs and they would just go to get rid of them. And I'm like, well, taking that one home to add to the collection.
It's children's horror. It's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. That's probably why so many people like horror movies now because we grew up with Scooby Doo.
Yep. And that was I believe I had mentioned it last week. I still have in the closet downstairs a it is probably like every bit of like this big pillow of Scooby-Doo. That's like a body pillow of Scooby-Doo
Oh,
that
that's
I've
great.
had since I was a kid. And you know, I feel like we would also have to have a whole separate episode on on Scooby-Doo, but you know, if you have watched it's not necessarily newer anymore, but it's one of the newer animated series. They start bring I just appreciate what they brought into it, because for that newer series, it's Mystery Incorporated. They
Mhm.
brought in um HP Lovecraft. But he was HP Hatecraft.
Ah,
Uh,
that's great.
they they brought in a lady who was supposed to be like Stephanie Meyer. For her series Dusk. Um,
That's great.
so much of that they brought in for like the older audience like myself, of like, give it. And then there like Velma's family ran a museum that uh had all of the original, like the Minor 49er, Captain Cutler, had all the original like costumes and stuff in it, and it was just
Yeah,
occasionally mentioned every now and again. But for someone like me who grew up with that, I was just like, there needed to
I
be
remember
more than
that
2
one.
seasons.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds really cool. I haven't seen the newer stuff for Scooby-Doo, but that sounds really good to have all those costumes and everything and bring back those
Mhm.
memories from the old shows.
Yeah. And all of this too, like I was saying before, like Scooby-Doo was a good introduction to horror for kids. And then like the next generation of that was like Monster High. And I remember
Mhm.
whenever my niece started getting into that, I was like, where was this whenever I was a kid? Why couldn't we have had I had Bratz dolls and Barbies? Why couldn't I had Dracula and Frankie Stein,
I had
Claudine
dirt.
Wolf.
We played the outside. I had dirt.
I had a tote of my sister's old Barbies, and then I became a fashionista and had to have Bratz, but and my Polly Pockets.
I have
But
a New Kids on the Block toy box sitting right here on the floor beside me with like old toys in it. And it's my New Kids on the Block toy box.
that would have been I would have had like a Backstreet
Yep.
Boys toy box.
Yeah. There's our age difference, everyone.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Like Casey said, Dark Shadows.
Oh, I love Dark Shadows. Did you see the original show or just the movie?
I have seen clips from the original show, but
Okay.
I am a huge fan of anything that Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham
Oh
Carter do
yeah.
together.
Did you see Johnny Depp's new teeth?
No.
He got new teeth.
Oh
He looks
boy, I'll have to
weird.
look.
Yeah. Abe says
Oh.
Abbott and Costello were the OG horror comedy. Yeah, you had like said Abbott and then we started talking about something else, but those are some of my favorites. I love Abbott and Costello. And no matter your age or anything, it's still funny.
Mhm.
You still laugh at it. I still laugh at it and I've seen it like 100 times.
I mean that's very much me with like stuff from Scooby Doo. It's silly, but
You still laugh.
it's timeless. It's
Mhm.
one of those timeless things,
Yeah.
and I worry we're getting into that period of, because it's not the normal humor, that kids aren't going to appreciate it as much.
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
Yeah.
it's not funny. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
just laugh, you little shit.
They should have used CGI to do it this way.
And that'll be hey, you see that? You see that like this'll be me in the future showing my kids like Return of the Living Dead. Like, Like you see that room that they made there? That is all spray foam. And that whole cemetery, that whole cemetery is made out of styrofoam.
I'll be like, I'll show you some CGI. I'm going to make you disappear. Watch this.
Mm, I have disowned you as my child. Get out of here.
CGI.
Yeah, nope, nope.
I love Abbott and Costello when they're like trying to hide in the mummy's box and just stand real still, so Dracula doesn't notice them. And it's fantastic. I love it.
Then
Alright.
we move on to the next year for for 1932, and we get Boris Karloff again in The Mummy as Imhotep.
Yep. Love Boris Karloff. He did so much in the horror world.
Him and Claude Rains did quite a lot.
Hmm. And Bela
And then
Lugosi.
yeah, I was gonna say, and then I have it here somewhere. Uh, then when we skip ahead a little bit here and we get to 1941 with the Wolfman, we get Lon Chaney Jr., Bela Lugosi, and Claude
Yep.
Rains. So,
Yep.
and I love in that one too that Bela Lugosi plays Bella.
Yes.
I'm like, all right, I can
It's fine.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that
It's
was
all good.
released on December 22nd of 1932 in the US. And so far, let me recheck my notes here. The lowest rating so far on Rotten Tomatoes at 89%. And I believe also the lowest so far on IMDb at 7 out of 10, and a 3.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
The Mummy's really slow. It's if your phone is nearby, you're going to end up playing a game on your phone through that movie.
So like one of those that's just like you can hear what's going on and it's
Yeah.
enough to just
Yeah. It's so slow. I mean, I watch it when it's on because we watch Svengoolie every Saturday night. And no matter what's on, we just watch it. We love Svengoolie and what he does,
mhm.
his bits in between. And so we still watch it. So we watch it pretty regularly. But we'll like talk or play games on our phone or, you know, fix something
I
to eat. We don't have to just be staring at the TV.
Yeah, and I mean I think it's not just that you've seen the movie so many times that it's one of those that you can put on and forget about and you're just listening as background music, but I mean the story,
Yep. Yep.
which in looking into that one, because it's the story of a British archaeologist discovers the mummified remains of the ancient Egyptian prince Imhotep along with the legendary scroll of Thoth. When one of the archaeologists recites the scroll aloud, Imhotep returns to life but escapes. Several years later, Imhotep has taken on the guise of a wealthy man as he searches Egypt for his lost love, who he believes has been reincarnated as the lovely Helen.
Yep.
I
I
was I
think
was
we might be losing
honest,
Diane a little bit.
huh?
I think you're frozen a little bit.
Am I good?
I
Am I
hear your
back?
voice. Oh, there you are. I could hear you, and then you finally started moving.
Oh, okay. Lord only knows.
You're gonna become the invisible woman.
I think I will pass on that. I am already insane enough. I do not need anything to make it worse.
Chris, Fright Night. Yes, I love Fright Night. The original, the remake. I love
Prince
David Tennant.
Humperdinck.
Oh, I love David Tennant. David Tennant is one of my favorite actors. Abe says Svengoolie is king. Yes, we love Svengoolie. If you don't watch Svengoolie, you can see all of these movies we're talking about pretty regularly on there on Saturday nights at 8 p.m.
But I was a little surprised in looking up more because I enjoy kind of like odd little facts about different movies and stuff like that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was I was honestly surprised that, The Mummy was not based on a book. It was Ki
Just a movie.
just King Tut's tomb was very interesting to people. Hey, we got a movie.
Yep.
And, a movie that got shown to me that, because I'm a big fan of Evil Dead, big fan of Bruce Campbell. If,
Yep.
if you have a moment in your day and you enjoy Bruce Campbell, go sit down and watch Bubba Hotep.
All of the Evil Dead movies are phenomenal. I actually have a picture of me and Bruce Campbell somewhere.
I have I have his books on audiobook, Chins to
Yeah.
Kill.
That's where I
Yeah.
met him when he wrote that book. I got it signed and talked to him. At the time, I was working at a hardware store, and he thought that was the coolest thing because, of course, shop smart, shop S smart.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I sat and talked to him for a little bit, and he's really nice.
I believe it. I just love the because I can't really subscribe to the newer ones
Hmm.
because of what they came from. Because I mean, you look if you look at the transformation of Bruce Campbell in from the first one into the second one, is
Yeah.
just beautiful. It's got Bubba Hotep's got Elvis impersonators. It's
Hmm.
got cowboy mummies. I mean,
He's a trip. He is.
but I mean, it's you're gonna be hard pressed to find a movie that he's not a trip in.
Do you follow him on Instagram?
I don't.
Oh my
I feel
gosh.
like I
He
should.
he uses all the filters. He's hilarious. He'll be
I
like an
believe
old
it.
woman, like an old grandma or something, or a grandpa, or he'll have some weird alien head. Like he does all the filters.
I
It's hilarious.
I feel like that's a very Bruce Campbell thing to do.
Oh yeah. You'll have to follow him. It's great.
He is a gem of an individual, though. He's a hoot.
Oh yeah. I heard he's kind of odd now, but Hollywood does that to people. Like they wanted to have him at
Yeah.
Scarefest one year, and apparently there's like all these rules and everything, and so
Well,
they were like, "Yeah,
and y-
forget it."
all of those rules unfortunately come into place because something shitty's happened,
Yep, yep,
which I hate to hear, knowing that he's such a hoot of an individual that.
yes,
But I
yeah,
mean, like, Evil Dead are cult classics, and you've got people that are like
insane.
diehards and insane. Um, kind of like you've got like how Evil Dead is like that. Night of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead, same kind of
Mhm.
thing. Um, Yeah, people are just crazy and do
Yeah.
stupid stuff when they meet
Yeah.
their heroes. So,
When I met Carrie Ellis, most people just sit at a table and you have a curtain on each side, and then you have the next person, and you can see
mhm.
each person as you walk along. Not him. He was totally blocked off in curtains, and you had to go in and around the curtain to meet him. You were not allowed to even see him unless you paid.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. So that one
Interesting.
was a little odd, and not a lot of people do that. Most people just leave it open, but then
Mhm.
security will like run to you and make you delete pictures off your phone if you didn't pay for a picture. You have
Oh,
to
see.
erase it. You can't just stand back and take a picture of them at their table.
Oh, bull crap.
Yeah, it's insane. It's crazy.
Well, that was like when we either went to Lexington or Louisville for a con and met Neil Adams.
Hmm.
That is a that is a full story for another time. Piece of shit individual. Um
Oh gosh, that sucks.
fantastic
Yeah.
artist for Batman, and now anytime I see his name on anything, I'm like, get it out of my face. I don't need to see
Oh
anything by this man.
gosh. And see, there's no reason to be
But
that way.
and this was a same convention that um shoot it, I'm picturing his face, what Ethan Van Sciver was at, also another big artist, was just sitting there at the table like any other person
Yeah.
at a convention is. We went up and talked to him. Solid solid guy to meet.
Yeah.
Yay for Cody Rhodes. Got his ass kicked. Um but no, and he want Neil Adams charged like $50 for a picture,
Jeez.
and I was like, I can't believe that you spent that. That man was horrible.
That's crazy. Norman Reedus is really nice.
I believe that, and
Yeah.
I've heard things with that.
He even
Now,
took my phone. He held my phone and took a selfie of us. He was awesome. I mean, we stood in line for 9.5 hours. 3 hours of that was out in the snow. So once he got to the end, I was like, wow, he missed his flight to stay for everyone who was in line.
wow,
They cut it off right behind us. So we were some of the last people to get to meet him.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. I wouldn't have done it. I didn't even know who he was. I did it for a friend of mine. I was like, well, I stood here this long. I'm getting a picture with this guy. Then I
And
went home and watched The Walking Dead.
oh, that's the guy. Okay, all right. Yeah, I agree with Casey. If I ever get famous, this is what you're gonna get sitting at the table.
Yep.
Just if y'all
Yep.
could give me 5 minutes so I can have another coffee because the people is getting a little too peopling today. Just 5 minutes. Just me in the
I
corner. Just
I did charge when I wrestled, but that was how we made like our gas money and stuff because we didn't get paid a lot.
mhm.
Surprisingly, even WWE doesn't get paid a lot.
It
Like,
doesn't surprise me at
nope,
all. It
nope.
doesn't surprise
You
me at
you
all.
have to pay for everything. You have to pay for your travel, and if you don't sell merch, like if you're not at Walmart seeing shirts with their faces on it, they're not making anything. They're making less than I make a year as an optician.
Well, and that's why I
So,
guess John Cena got into acting.
movies, yeah. Which I mean, he does have a lot of merch. He has the dolls, he has the shirts.
I was
So,
thinking like back when Kmart was around down here, he got a lot of my money.
oh yeah, yeah,
I was right over in the guys section getting my shirts with John Cena on it.
Sometimes we got a hot dog and a handshake. So the only money we made was if we sold pictures. So we charged like $5, just something to put some gas in the car.
That's that's insane. That's absolutely insane.
I I did give away a few pictures, just like in the parking lot. I would have a kid run up and hug me or something and give him a picture. But yeah, that's how we made our money.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kid.
But yeah, but yeah, you don't have to be snotty like some of these people are.
No, and I can understand, like we were talking about, crazy crazy stuff happens because fans can be crazy. So I get, you have to, at some point you have to unfortunately have all those rules because people are crazy.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you got to be an asshole.
Nope. Nope.
Because and I guess it doesn't really matter to them because they're gonna go on making their movies, making their music, doing whatever. But
Well,
if I meet you and you're a piece of crap, you're dead to me.
yeah, definitely. Now,
Uh
Carrie Elvis was really nice. He was in. I keep hitting my mic tonight. I talk with my hands. So he was enclosed, but had something to do with someone trying to forge his signature and people being able to see him autograph his
oh.
pictures.
Oh, okay.
So that's why he had to be totally surrounded. But he was really sweet. He kissed me on the cheek, said,
Oh.
God bless you, like a
Oh.
little awkward even, but really sweet.
Yeah, Chris, I've contemplated doing the same.
Oh my gosh, Chris.
Just gently, you just put them on real
Gently
quick.
walk.
Walk to the refrigerator, walk back, take them off. You know, you do what you got to do.
I've done feet pictures for people.
I've tried,
Yeah.
but
It's
yeah,
a
just
wild world,
yeah,
the feet people. It's
yeah.
there's a lot of foot people. Foot people. That's
Just there's a
the new horror
lot of
movie. Foot people. Can you imagine
Disney. Come
people
talk
shaped
to
like
us.
feet? People shaped like feet
That
attacking the world.
that would be a horror movie for my sister because my sister hates feet.
We're gonna stomp on you. We're
I
gonna kick
can.
you.
No, it's so sad because I can picture like a very divided audience of people that are there for two very different
Right?
reasons.
Can you imagine them walking along and all of a sudden the big toe just goes psh.
Did you ever watch I feel like your son might have, but Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You
Kurt
remember
definitely
the
watched that.
giant foot that they were like gangsters?
I don't remember that.
Oh god. Yeah, I could just picture in like the bigger you'll have to go look that up because they are just a giant foot that each of the toes has a face and talks, but they like
Oh my god.
squish people to death in between the
Oh.
toes.
Oh, I think I do remember that. And they wore little masks. Did they wear like
I don't
ninja masks or something?
I I don't remember. But
Okay.
I feel like they showed up in more than one episode.
Okay. I
So
feel like I've
it could
seen
have,
something like that.
because there were a couple of episodes where a bunch of the different characters come back, and I think they did at some point. So it's entirely possible. Um, but that I could just imagine in like the bigger theaters where you have to like pay ahead to get your spot,
Oh yeah.
and you're just like you're sitting there cowering because you're like hate feet, and then you're looking down the aisle and you're like
Oh my gosh.
I We need 2 different showings of this.
One can be rated F for FF, foot fetish friendly.
Foot friendly. Wink.
Foot friendly.
God, throw in some gnomes and my sister would lose it.
Oh, goodness. So stay tuned, everyone, because you never know what you'll get on Monday Night Horrors. Are you scared of feet?
Not exactly the horrors you might have thought, but somebody's.
There are people who hate feet. I had a manager at one of the places I worked who hated feet so much, he asked everyone if they would kindly not wear open-toed shoes.
No, my sister, do not touch her with your feet, because I remember I'd be
Yeah.
sitting with like up on the couch with my feet tucked under me, and she'd be like, "Eh," and I would just start inching my feet closer to her, and she's like, "You've got to stop."
Oh gosh, it's funny the things people are afraid of. They really should make a movie about.
I was gonna say, give us a year. Give us a year. We could be this time next year. We could be having our first horror movie out.
Yeah.
As long as I like, I just want to walk around at one point with just a singular large foot shape that just goes around the face. I'll just walk around in the background somewhere. Just
your face would be the heel of the foot.
Yeah, and just like hit somebody with it. Yeah. Oh Lord!
It would be cool if you could move each individual toe so you could flip people off with your middle toe.
I'll just like down below on the screen will be like little,
yes.
like little
pull 4 down.
Oh jeez! Give us time. Give us time, folks. We might have to pitch that to Trauma.
Oh, I've got his number. I met him at Scarefest and actually interviewed him for another podcast that my friend does. So
yeah. Lloyd might be down for it.
Yeah, he might. Yep.
Oh, but
he's down for just about anything.
A lot.
I think.
A lot.
Lloyd, I got this idea. Let me just run this by you. It's going to be great.
So feet. And he's like, sign me up.
Yeah.
Gosh, it'd be. Then I feel like we need to bring Quentin Tarantino on board.
He does kind of remind you of a big toe.
But I mean, have you? He's a foot guy, so we gotta bring him in there.
Oh, he is a foot guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you pay attention in his movies,
yeah,
there are a lot of feet related things, especially.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll walk back to Dracula here for a minute. From Dusk Till Dawn, Selma Hayek's foot is in his mouth.
Yeah.
And he is drinking alcohol off of it. So pay attention. You know that now, and you pay attention. There's a lot of feet in places.
I'll notice it now. Yeah, that's funny.
We'll just get him to see if he can pop in and do a cameo, getting like smashed with a foot or something. Hey, we got a great opportunity for you, man. Just need you for one scene. Telling you, folks, we're gonna make it happen. We got gold here.
Yeah, never know what Cheyenne and I will come up with.
We will move on to 1933. And we are getting into November 13th of 1933 with The Invisible Man, starring Claude Rains as the Invisible Man. which was then the second oldest book on the list here, because it was based on the novel by H.G. Wells that came out in February of 1897. And it was a science fiction novel following Griffin, an experimental investigator who discovers a way to make living tissue invisible. It explores the terror of Griffin's own creation and how he ends up needing a safe house instead of being able to reach his full potential. Where they think they took it a little bit differently with the movie, which got a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb, and an 87 out of 100 on Metacritic. So, while researching a new drug, Dr. Jack Griffin stumbles on a potion that can make him invisible. When he reveals his new ability to his old mentor and his fiancée, it's clear that a side effect of the potion is insanity. Jack goes on a violent rampage, and the police struggle to hunt him down, unable to see their target, while his mentor and his former partner desperately try to devise a plan to capture him. So that was really the first step into science fiction, which whenever I, was looking over everything to compare like the book and the movie, I was like, how we are struggling to capture him? Like he's like, yeah, he was walking around like all wrapped up in his like smoker's jacket and everything, and like, come on, y'all. Just shoot him. Just shoot him. It's fine.
Again, it's kind of a slower movie, so I think that's why it gets lower ratings. Not a lot of action. It's one of those very slow ones where you're like, I think I need a snack.
Now, would you say the Mummy was slower?
Yes.
I was gonna say, because we go from a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes to a 95%.
Yeah. The Mummy was definitely slower.
A very good book that introduced me to H.G. Wells, and I really appreciate his writing. And I immediately think of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
For science fiction double feature.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was whenever I first saw that was like my first introduction to all these names. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abe can sing like the whole soundtrack to Rocky Horror.
Me and Abel go jam out. That is my number one favorite movie.
Yeah.
Chris has got it. He left his socks on. Hey, but he was invisible. You didn't have to see his feet. The socks, if anything, made it worse. Then you had to actually see that he had feet. If he takes them off, then you ain't got to worry about it. Just as long as he doesn't go touching anybody with them, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it was. I understand the significance of it, but I'm like, it's not really horror other than, he's losing his mind, but
yeah, it's definitely more sci-fi.
And I can appreciate it for that as being, original sci-fi and everything, but it was just it is not one that I would watch more than once or twice. I would probably find something else to
Yeah, they
watch
do get
if it
lumped
were
in
on.
together a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sci-fi and horror. They even show sci-fi sometimes on Svengoolie instead of horror.
And I mean, you can certainly you can certainly mix the two. I feel like you could say that, Frankenstein was kind of sci-fi in a way too.
Mhm.
Um, but it's not one of those that I really have much to say on because
Yeah.
uh, it was what it was. I'm more I'm the more the book person, so I enjoyed the book. The book was very good, and it's a quick read.
Yeah.
Um, and worth it to, kind of check it off your list of uh I would lump that in under like classic literature that you've got to read.
Right.
Um,
Abe says
but
it's
a
like
good
body horror, like where you're
yeah, I guess that would be like
is
the start to body horror. Uh uh H.G. Wells started or walked so that Clive Barker could run in body horror.
yeah.
Abe, well, then what is it? What is your feelings on Hellraiser then? Because I've heard something similar. Like like appreciate like Hellraiser for it's body horror, but it's like look at it. It's
He likes Hellraiser.
where yes, Chris. I but you can find we'll link where you can find the feet pictures at.
Abe's band even used some scenes from Hellraiser for their music video.
Ooh. That was probably along with that was around the time that like, I was starting to watch like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Hot take, I don't really care about Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Eh. Um my mom's like favorite horror is Halloween, so I grew up watching that too. But then um I like took I don't know, it was like a summer weekend of I sat down and watched like all the Nightmare on Elm Street. Um watched like the first 3 on Halloween, and I think it was whatever was going on either Showtime or Cinemax at the time was then a loop of Hellraiser, and I was like, "I'll give it a oh, okay, I like that. That's cool."
Abe said, I love Hellraiser, but it's not completely body horror.
Yeah, I had a conversation with someone who was saying they didn't care for it because it was body horror, and I was like, it's not
Oh,
really. Yeah,
no. That's what
I
he's saying. It's
mean,
not really body horror.
yeah, yeah.
Abe,
Casey,
the
Casey's,
Chromebook.
Casey's, huh?
Abe's trying to type on the Chromebook, so it's all spelled weird. It's smaller keys. I was trying to type on it earlier and was like, this is weird.
And then we had to throw her in here because I feel like it was a disservice not to. But we move on to 1935 with Bride of Frankenstein,
Frankenstein, yeah.
where we get Boris Karloff again and Elsa. Is it Lancaster or I
Uh-huh.
always Lancaster?
Lancaster.
It looked
Yep.
as the bride,
Yep.
and that was released April 20th of 1935 in the U.S. With let me check my ratings listing on here again, which is so far the highest rated on Rotten Tomatoes with a 98%, has a 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb and a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
You know, a lot of people don't realize this, but Elsa was also in Blackbeard's Ghost. She was the little woman at the auction and everything who
Mhm.
ran the inn. and he got the bedpan, and then she tried to warn him and everything, and then he said on
Mhm.
it, "There's Blackbeard." That's Elsa.
Just an absolutely gorgeous woman.
So I
And
was shocked when I realized that. Yeah, the innkeeper, that's
mhm.
her.
Which I was also surprised, which I think they did go on to later do do books. Um, I was also surprised was not just straight up from a book as well. But after recovering from injuries sustained in the mob attack upon himself and his creation, Dr. Frankenstein falls under the control of his former mentor, who insists the doctor resume his experiments in creating new life. Meanwhile, the monster remains on the run from those who wish to destroy him without understanding that his intentions are generally good despite his lack of socialization and self control. And Frankenstein was like, my man needs a lady. So
Uh, oh, I love Bride of Frankenstein. It's
just
fantastic.
just gorgeous. Another one of those kind of like, when we get into like the Addams family of like gothy women that I just want to be when I grow up.
Elsa, she was also in Mary Poppins. Just thought about that. She was one of the housekeepers in Mary Poppins.
Huh. It's been
Yeah.
a long time since I've seen Mary Poppins.
Elsa
But
Lanchester, I believe is her name.
Lanchester,
Lanchester.
Lancaster,
Uh-huh.
whatever it is. But yeah, just I now that is one because I'll tell you for years whenever it comes to Frankenstein, there was a movie that and it scared the crap out of me that I watched with my mom that it was a type of Frankenstein movie, and I have not been able because there are so many Frankenstein movies. Um, I've not been able to find what this specific one is. Um, but when you go and look, there are just so many different Frankenstein movies out there. I would like to see a modern adaptation of Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, that would
Who
be
who
awesome.
who would we put as Elsa? Like who would be able to play that the
Lady
same?
Gaga. She
I can
was in
see that.
American Horror Story, you know.
Oh yeah, that was like
Yeah.
that's one of the seasons that I will just go back and
Yeah. I loved it. Hotel.
mhm.
So I think she would make a great Bride of Frankenstein.
and and that was
Betty
her.
White. Good grief, Chris.
Is her ghost gonna come now? I feel like that would be an amazing SNL skit of Betty White as the Bride of
Right?
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
um, yeah, we'll just have Betty White's ghost come back and play Bride of Frankenstein. But that was like Lady Gaga's first jump into acting, and
Mhm.
um, it was a little at the
Yeah.
time. Um, but like now, how much she's done. Um, just as long as they don't turn it into a musical.
Yeah.
Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's not
Yeah.
let's not turn it into a musical. I could see that. I could just imagine how tall her shoes under that dress would have to be. Cause she's 4'9", 4'8", 4'9".
She's pretty short.
Or
Something like that.
she's got a Netflix documentary and it's called 4 foot
Yeah.
something. Um, but yeah, I can't really or and
She says she's
I
5'1".
hmm. um I was watching her video, and it's something that I watch out for now. I was watching her video for Abracadabra the other day,
Yeah.
and I'm always looking at how they have people placed so she doesn't look so tiny. So I was like, how do they have this camera set up?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well,
They
she's
used to
not
do the
wearing.
same thing with Fred Durst. Fred Durst was shorter than me, so they would always angle the camera upward to make him look taller.
Well, and like there are parts where she's not wearing, like, her crazy Gaga shoes.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, I'm looking at how they have people spaced and where they have to have things placed so that she doesn't look so tiny. And
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I noticed I was looking at that whenever I was watching it the other day. Interesting video, very good song.
Yeah. Abe said, "And Sly, Sylvester Stallone is also short, but they make him look tall."
Wow. I did not know
Yeah.
that.
I
Tom Cruise doesn't deserve it.
Everybody knows he's my height, so it's all good.
Tom Cruise doesn't deserve it. Scientology can pay for him to get leg extenders. I don't care.
Oh, goodness. Let's see,
But
Sylvester
yeah,
Stallone's height,
the
he's 5'10".
well, that's not that short. I mean, I guess you'd kind of think of him being like 6'5" or something, but he's like average
Yeah.
height. He would just be the little bit bigger than me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
guess that would be kind of odd. How tall is Arnold?
Let's see.
Now I'm curious. I'm also thinking, who I feel like I don't know how well she would actually be able to play the part, as I don't think she's done any acting. Though
Mm,
she did audition for Elphaba for Wicked.
yeah.
Um, I feel like Sabrina Carpenter would visually play the part very well.
Oh, yeah. Arnold is 6'2".
Still a bit tinier than I would have expected.
I I kinda thought maybe Katy Perry. She's done a little
Mm,
acting. She was on How I Met Your Mother, but she wasn't very good. So it depends on
hmm.
if she's done any acting since then, but I can totally see her playing that.
I feel like maybe she would play it good if they did it a little campy.
Yeah. Why do we
Now,
keep choosing singers instead of actors?
yeah, I keep like thinking of actors, and I can't really think of like another actress that would, because I almost hate like continuously moving like singers over into like acting. But oh yeah, Christina Ricci, that would be a good one, Abe. That would be a
Yeah.
good one. I was also thinking Anna Taylor-Joy.
See, you're younger. I don't even know who that is.
She was in um oh shoot.
Oh, okay. Yes, I know who she is. She was in the new movie, uh, the the
'Cause I had just
the
watched an interview.
Gorge.
I had just watched an interview of it was one of those I th- I forget what it was done by, but where it was her and Alexander Skarsgård with their snacks from the different countries, them trying together. I
Mhm.
feel like she would play that role very well. Or even the girl who is in Game of Thrones.
Jennifer
Um
Lawrence? Oh, Game of Thrones. I was thinking Hunger
uh
Games.
no, I can't maybe
No.
um I just don't think I'd be able to take it seriously then if it was her.
Uh-uh.
Um but
Emilia Clarke?
yeah, that plays Khaleesi.
Uh,
Yeah.
the
Um I feel like she might be good for that role. I don't know. But I
Sophie
would I
Turner, maybe. Sansa Stark was the character she played on Game of Thrones. Sophie Turner.
hmm,
She looks like a bride of
I
Frankenstein.
could see that. That's just one of those. I'm surprised that there hasn't, they've remade, everything else all to crap.
Everything. Yeah. And that kills me because I'm like, who comes up with new movies? Because you're not doing a very good job at this point. Give us something new.
Well, and that was like something like a couple years ago. I was just like, anything new, please.
Yeah.
I'm tired of going to the movie theater and it literally all being remakes of stuff that didn't come
Yes.
out that long ago.
Yes. They said they were going to remake like The Bodyguard, Whitney
Mhm.
Houston, Kevin Costner. And I was like, no, no,
Leave it
just don't.
alone. Leave it
Just it.
alone.
I loved that movie. And my dad would sit down and watch it with me because I wanted to watch it. And I have
Mhm.
great memories of that. Don't run it.
Yeah, that's like it's like you don't need to we don't need to do any more with Star Wars.
Oh, no, I wouldn't go that far.
Leave Lord of the Rings alone. Please quit touching Harry Potter. But then you get into like when you're talking about like the Bodyguard, like next they're going to be remaking Ferris Bueller's Day Off. They're going to be remaking
Yeah,
Back to the Future, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles.
yeah. They're going to
Leave
run
it
everything.
alone
But it's an easy way for them to make money.
because they
Story's already
know
there.
the story's already there and the people that are nostalgic for the original are going to come see it, be
Yeah.
sadly disappointed and want their money back.
So, yeah. And I would probably go see some of those. Well, I would wait for it to come out, but I would watch it.
Yeah, we'll just wait till it hits streaming and
They've said no Jaws remakes. Yeah, we wait for
there's
streaming on everything.
there's enough there's enough Jaws.
Yeah, yeah,
Just for me with Star Wars, I feel like we had it good. We got a good ending. Now, I will say I did very much enjoy Rogue One. Rogue One was very
I
good,
did too. Yeah.
but every we don't need a backstory for everybody that you're going to ruin. We saw what
I
happened with
love
Solo.
I love Star Wars. I'll take all the Star Wars movies, but everyone criticizes them and I'm like, you have to just take it for what it is. You
Mhm,
can't base it on the originals because it's
mhm.
not going to be the original.
No.
But you can
And
enjoy it for what it is.
and I mean that's we can say that for all of this too of like I
Yeah.
know a lot of people really dislike the 92 Dracula. I just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah. I'm the same
Casey.
way.
Casey.
What?
Casey.
Casey.
Casey. This is your
Girls movie
intervention.
night at my house.
This is your intervention.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. How have you not
I
seen
I
Jaws?
I spent a summer watching all of them no matter how terrible they got. I still enjoyed it.
I
You
took
got a
Abe to the
shark
drive-in.
you
That's
got a
one of Abe's
shark that is
favorites.
hunting down is hunting down a woman who has moved so far away. But and I mean those are some of those two. I forget, is it the second one with the really bad scene of the shark swimming towards the giant glass? Is it the second one or is it the third one?
Are you thinking of Deep Blue Sea?
No, it's one of the Jaws, and it's just a
Wow.
it's a horrible. I think it was while like they were in the aquarium or something, and you just see the shark is looks like it's supposed to be swimming towards the to ram the glass, but it's clearly
Mhm.
not moving.
Oh, no.
And then it goes to like hit the glass to because I think everybody is stuck down there, and it's horrible, but I love it. It
I
looks
can't
horrible.
it's been so long since I've seen him, I guess I don't remember that. Abe, which one is that? He just watched the 3rd one today.
Yeah, he kick
He
the 3D
loves
kicks ass.
he loves the Jaws movies. I caught it coming to the drive-in and took him to see it.
That'd be pretty cool.
It was. It was neat.
And you know, back when we used practical effects and not CGI for everything.
Yeah. 3. He said it was the 3rd one you're talking about. I couldn't remember
That's
that
kind of
scene.
that's kind of what I was thinking because of the way that they had it moving. Would make sense for it being the 3D one.
Yeah. Jaws, you could say Jaws is an OG horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Like one
It
of
really
the
is.
yeah. I feel like you would lump that in with like King Kong,
Yeah.
like
I actually
separate
like Jaws though.
yeah, yeah.
I don't like King Kong. I don't like all those movies.
I
Godzilla.
I oh no, I love Godzilla.
Oh
Um
yeah.
but
I fell asleep in the theater.
I controversially really like the 90s Matthew Broderick one because I grew up with my dad showing that to me. Um and I just got a kick out of it. The you know, they completely squandered the idea of actual, you know, Godzilla lore per se. Um but I thought it was one of those. It's like you're not watching it because it's a good movie. You're watching it because it's a fun movie to me.
Yeah.
And I was really about watching the newer ones. Um, but I really enjoyed them. I thought Kong Skull Island was interesting, though. My hot take is for that
That
one.
was okay.
The monsters that they took from that one were straight out of Temple Run.
Now that was a pretty good movie. I like the story. Everything looked
Mm,
good in it.
hmm Yeah, like if you're playing Temple Run and you know you trip and the little like Mayan monsters are behind you. I was like as soon as I was watching it, I was like they they took the idea for those out of Temple Run. Those are totally the monsters from Temple Run.
That's so funny.
But that one was good. I didn't much care for Godzilla versus Kong. Eh.
No, and then Godzilla 2000 was the one I fell asleep on in the theater.
Was that the one of the newest ones?
It was from 2000, Godzilla
Oh, okay.
2000. Yeah,
Um,
mm,
that might have been the
25 years ago.
that might have been the Matthew Broderick one. I thought it came out in the 90s, but it could have been that one.
Let's
Unless it was
see.
one of the
I don't remember him being in it.
then it might have been one of the Japanese ones then.
It is one of the Japanese ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then that was completely separate. I didn't much care for all of the um the, you know, original Japanese puppet Godzilla. I can appreciate, you know, the kind of the goofiness of somebody in a Godzilla costume like that.
Yeah.
Um, but because I was, you know, I grew up with that Matthew Broderick Godzilla, which obviously was not how Godzilla was at all. So whenever these new ones came out, and I'm thinking like how goofy, you know, the Godzilla puppet looked, and these Godzilla ones were like, no, this is actually like canon how Godzilla is supposed to look. I was like, oh, this is gonna be goofy. But then I was like, but okay, Godzilla's kind of a badass. The first one is one of those that I'll throw on. The first one of the new ones is like one that I'll just throw on for background music to look up and be like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Kind of like the Mummy.
Yeah, just okay, I got something on. I would have liked for Bryan Cranston to have been in it more, because I did like his character in it. But no, once we got into Rodan and King Ghidorah and Mothra and everything, I was like, I could skip the whole beginning story of everything. I just want to see him fight. And then that's when I adopted, after seeing those, I fully adopted my Hollow Earth theory. Yes, it's Hollow Earth, and that is where Godzilla lives. We piss him off, he's going to come out. So
I love
it. Y'all quit messing with shit. We're gonna make Godzilla come out.
Maybe Godzilla's also in another dimension.
That's just what I'm like. I'm not one to really go for Hollow Earth, but I'll accept Hollow Earth if that's where Godzilla lives.
Casey and I are the same age. I was a junior in high school in 1998 too. Cheyenne wasn't born yet.
I was just a toddler. I was learning to walk.
Oh gosh.
I was 2. I was 2 years old.
2 years old. Nice. Oh, that's
It's great being the baby. Well, and to go off of what we were talking about, the multitude of where there's so many different Frankenstein movies and everything. We move on to 1941, and we have the Wolfman. Premiered December 9th of 1941. Got a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb, and a 3.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. And that would be another one of we would have to have a full episode on just werewolves.
Werewolf movies. Yeah. I was going to say like American Werewolf in London terrified my brother when he was little. Silver Bullet is one of Abe and I's favorite movies.
And then we get into Van Helsing.
Yes.
We get
Van Helsing.
We get Dracula, and we get werewolves.
Yeah. Oh, we can't forget Teen Wolf.
Yeah. I'll pass, but yep. And then what is it? Underworld?
Yeah. The Howling movies.
Yeah, like the endless. Again, Wolfman walked so that we got Team Jacob.
Yep. So many wolf movies, just
like as I said, we would need an episode in itself to discuss all of the but I think really my trying to rack my brain a minute. I honestly think like Van Helsing probably would have been my first introduction to werewolves.
Oh yeah.
Because it was funny. I was thinking about it the ride home this morning,
Mhm.
trying to think if I could, one, figure out the site, or two, yes, Dog Soldiers, Abe, it's a good one. I saw that one not too long ago, like a couple years ago. Very good. Oh, and one that I just thought of too that I completely forgot to mention. Again, the amount of Frankenstein movies. If you have Amazon Prime, go watch Frankenstein's Army.
Oh, yeah? I don't think I've seen that.
So I'm one who like I love like first Captain America movie for the craziness that they put in there with the Nazis and Hydra.
Mhm.
So in Frankenstein's Army, we get Nazi Frankenstein monsters. Frank I believe it is his son who ends up we get Nazi communist Frankenstein monsters because he is taking pieces like part of the brain from the communists and part of the brain from the Nazis and putting it together and thinking that's the perfect end all be all of everything. Great movie. The monsters in it are crazy, absolutely crazy, but fantastic.
I'm gonna have to write that one down here.
I forced them to sit and watch that at work, and they were just like,
That's from 2013, so it's even a little
yeah,
older. Okay.
yeah. You've got to give it just a little bit. It's like a tiny little bit of a slow burn in the beginning, but
Yeah.
you've really got to pay attention to all the details of everything. But it's a great story. Great story.
Okay. I'll have to
But
check
yeah,
it
just
out.
I would like have to sit and like look through a list of movies, but the first one that comes to mind of like the first time seeing a movie with a werewolf would have had to have been, other than like Scooby Doo or anything.
Right.
I think would have had to have been Van Helsing. I think I could be wrong on that, but that's the first one that's coming to mind, and that's even if you want to fully consider that a werewolf, really.
Yeah, mine was probably Werewolf in London and
and
Silver Bullet. So,
and for all of these too, when we were discussing like Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School, we've got um Monster High, Monster Squad
yeah.
as another one of those to introduce, because Wolfman's got nards. So but another one of those timeless classics to show your kids some to show your kids about, like your classic monsters.
Mhm.
And then we skip ahead a little bit to our final one on the list from 1954 with my favorite, and was the very first black and white creature feature that I watched, was Creature from the Black Lagoon. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I was a little disappointed though whenever I was looking up the I wanted to get like who starred and everything.
Mhm.
Um they did not have, because there were two different men who played the Gill Man.
Mhm.
They were not, you had to scroll to find the names.
Oh, wow.
So, shout out to what I am going to assume is Rico Browning and Ben Chapman for their In the Water and Land version of the Gill Man, because you deserve it. I was just like, come on. I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
that's crazy.
I know it's not Claude Rains or Boris Karloff or Bela Lugosi, but come on. And I
Yeah,
mean,
it's one
and
of the
some people,
originals.
and there are even people who debate that that's original, but to me, it is. To you, it is. But I'm like,
Yeah.
give the dude some props. Like, I thought that to me, this is the coolest looking monster.
Yeah, and it even says next to their names uncredited.
Yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah.
That's ins
I believe Rico Browning was the In the Water one, and Ben Chapman
Ye
was the land. That's what I
yes.
thought. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, what in the world? That just made me
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And let me check my other ratings here for just a second.
Rico Browning was actually in Caddyshack too. Flipper, uh, James Bond, Never Say Never Again. He went on to do some pretty big movies.
So this one actually got the lowest rating out of everything,
Oh yeah.
with 80% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
Oh wow.
But I mean, I'm here for like the cool looking fish monsters.
I'm terrified of fish, so I'm not real big on this one.
And I mean, you know, the water is a scary place. Um,
Yeah.
but like I felt like that was the coolest looking. Um,
Yeah. It's pretty
and
creepy.
yeah, and it just that just blew my mind that they were not immediately credited.
Yeah. That's wild. I mean, they are the creature.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's in two different forms, but still.
And what they had to go through to prepare to film every day in that outfit in the water, like
Mm.
they deserve some credit.
Yeah, and then, creature from the Black Lagoon, spawned uh I would consider Abe Sapien from Hellboy to be some inspiration for that.
Yeah.
Um and then uh The Shape of Water. I mean, throw anything in Guillermo del Toro's lap and it's going to be bomb, but um I love to see a comeback from that, because that's like it's very nostalgic for me, being like, the first one that I saw, and I was just like, this is amazing. And so seeing, such a newer remake, or different take on it.
Mhm.
um but yeah, just, and I was also surprised in doing my research in some of it, that there wasn't more of a, because, like, I was looking at like the stories of, like, obviously Frankenstein, Dracula, the Invisible Man, based on books, and I was looking, at the other movies on, like, okay, well, like, what were they based on? And uh they credit the Mummy on, like, when they found King Tut's tomb, everybody was all buku for mummies in Egypt and stuff.
Mhm.
And obviously Wolfman, Legends of Werewolves. Um, there really wasn't much to be said about Gilman. I just I
Huh.
I feel I just feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Like
That's crazy.
yeah, they're
Mhm.
every other one had a uh had like, well, it was based on all of this, or here's the books and everything. Um but yeah, it was just kind of sad, I felt like. But that
That
was,
is.
yeah, just especially for, and you think of everything that like, when we were talking from the beginning about, like, all the makeup and everything that, like Max Shrek had to wear to be Count Orlok and everything. It's going to be even worse when you're wearing, who knows what that suit was made out of.
Right. How hot that would be.
Yeah. And I didn't look into the details of it, but depending on where they were filming too. So just to go like completely uncredited like that was just, I just felt really
Sad.
bad
Yeah, that's sad. It
for
almost
for
makes
it
you
to.
wonder if they even made any money doing it.
Well, there something I did see was, I guess they did have a sequel, which I haven't seen, but it was Revenge of the Creature,
Okay. Were they in it
which,
again as the creature?
let me look on that one. Because that, let's see, that came out it came out a year later. Let me see.
Good chance they were then.
Yes.
Still uncredited?
Rico Browning was. Yeah, the Gill Man in water / lab technician, uncredited.
Wow. That's
And
crazy.
then there was a different one for the Gill Man on land, and it was Tom Hennessy.
Mhm.
The Gill Man on land / marine land diver, uncredited.
Huh. I wonder if it's because they didn't have lines and they just credited the people who had actual lines in the movie.
That's possible, and they also looked at things a little bit differently then too, as opposed to now.
Yeah.
Um, Almost like you weren't as important if you didn't have lines, even though you're walking around, swimming around in the suit.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy. You would think back then, like, they credited people for the silent films.
yeah,
So it's just odd.
yeah.
I
But
never knew this.
you look back at Hollywood though, and there's just such different waves of how things went. So
Hmm.
but
That's
yeah,
crazy.
I wish we could have ended on a more uplifting note than that,
Yeah.
but
So, vampires. Well, I
vampires and
hope everyone enjoyed the show, and we have a lot more coming about horror movies and books, and we hope to have some people join us on the show,
oh yeah,
actors, authors. Um,
fellow
we're
horror
working on some
fans.
things. Yeah, yeah,
Who knows? Like
definitely
I said,
horror fans.
stick around in a year. We might have a movie coming out.
Yeah, about feet.
Vegas show.
Lloyd Kaufman, we're talking to you.
Might be able to see if we can get Lloyd on here.
Hey, we
But
might be able
thanks,
to sweet talk
everybody.
him.
Yeah, never know. Never know. But we hope you all enjoyed the show.
Just enjoyed reminiscing with us on
Yeah.
some good the OGs of horror,
Yeah,
the
this was
ones who
great.
started it all. So
And we'll be on here every other Monday night at 8 o'clock.
yeah, so join us join us in 2 weeks, and we'll have something just as good to chit chat and goof off about and have a good time. That's what we're here for.
So watch your horror movies so you can come talk to us about what you've seen.
Casey, Jaws.
Yes,
Show's homework.
all of them.
Cheyenne, will you be with us Wednesday night?
No, I will not.
Okay.
I
Well,
will.
Amanda, you'll be here. So, all right. Well, good. We have 2 great authors coming up. So that'll be good.
Sweet.
All right. And remember, you can catch me every day on here from 1 till 3 doing the Daily Gazette. And then I'm over on the Thin Line Rock Station Tuesday and Thursday playing music. And then Wednesday nights are Paranormal Guys. And then on Sunday is the Litman on football. And then back to you ladies. So it's a good time.
We'll be back here to have a spooky time.
Absolutely.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks. Have a good night.
It's got a good following.